Well, if it would come in today, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no problem. I'll ask tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started here with NAR update, National Associations of Realtors. There may be some new lawsuits brewing out there. Daryl Davis, who's a real estate trainer, he has a session today talking specifically about some future lawsuits that may affect how we do business. I'm going to attend that training session this afternoon, and I'll let you know next week what I learned from that. Uh, but uh, but there are some new lawsuits out there brewing. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but the president of NAR put out a communication yesterday talking about that there are now new MLS rules. And so they've had their legal team go through and do a risk assessment of rules. And so then they've made some rule changes to hopefully reduce that risk to NAR as well as to us as agents. Um, Now, it did not elaborate what those new rules are. It just referenced that there are new rules and that they're being published to MLSs. And of course, those rules affect MLSs directly and us indirectly. So I don't know if that means changes to the clear cooperation policy or what kind of rule changes that there may be out there. But NAR did announce that they have new rules coming into effect uh, soon. So just know that NAR is making proactive changes, maybe that may head off some of these potential future lawsuits. Um, so talking about Indiana now instead of the national stage, Indiana Association of Realtors recently published some stats for how we did in the month of October, and also looking at the year-end potential numbers. So Lawrence Yun, the economist for the National Association of Realtors, um, he believes that the national trend as far as home sales is going to be flat. So 2025 is going to be pretty much equal to 2024 on a national basis. So that's what Lawrence Young is saying. However, Indiana sales are already up 2.5% over 2024. And so IAR believes that Indiana may finish 2 to 3% above 2024. Also concerning the median price, nationally, the median price is expected to increase by 3% nationally this year over 2024. And Indiana has a little bit more hefty increase of about 5%. So they believe that the median price in Indiana will be increased by 5%. Now, nationally, the U.S. median home price, if it in fact increases by 3% for the year, will be about $420,000. Now, that's still 35% higher than the median home price in Indiana as a whole. But there will be some communities, obviously, that have a higher median home price, namely Carmel and even Fishers, are going to have higher uh, uh, known prices. So home prices, I mean. So just some stats from IR that I thought were interesting. Now, switching gears to my board, they have announced or reminded everybody of the rental registry deadline. So if you own any rental property or You have a client that owns rental property in Carmel or Westfield, or I mean Carmel or Fishers, sorry, Carmel or Fishers. They both have a new ordinance coming into effect December 31, and so they need to get those properties registered. Now, Carmel's charging a $5 a year fee for that registration. Fishers is not charging a fee at this point for registration. So just so that you know what's going on. And also, it's important for them to register their rental property um, in Fishers and Carmel because of rental restrictions as well. And so homes can be grandfathered in because they're already there, even though a neighborhood might exceed the rental number of rentals for that neighborhood. In order for that property to be grandfathered in, though, they have to register by the deadline. Otherwise, they could lose their permit. So, um, if you're working with investors or you are an investor yourself with properties in Carmel and Fishers, then beware, you need to get those properties registered by the 31st. Um, Also, there's a membership survey out there. And if you haven't shared your membership survey or you haven't filled out your membership survey, please do because it's important to give MyBore feedback, even if they are, even if the feedback or they appear to ignore most of the feedback. It's still important to give that feedback. Also, with MyBore, they have lots of training available, and so you should be seeing right now that this is the training section on MyBore Central, and it shows you all the different kinds of training that you can take, and they have MPro certification training. And that's delivered in a hybrid environment. We have professional standards, fundamental. That's an in-person training down at MyBore, and here's the date and time for that. Here's a virtual training on Forewarn. So if you haven't had any training on Forewarn, the safety app, this is a virtual training on that available to you. Here's an in-person division meeting in Montgomery County, another professional standards meeting that's in person. Then virtual training on unlocking RPR commercial from property search to prospecting power and more. Virtual training. BLC, get started, introduction to the BLC, virtual training. And sometimes you may say, well, why should I take an introductory course to BLC? Well, you might actually learn something even in an introductory course that you either never learned or you forgot. And so a lot of times that kind of training can be um, helpful to you. Um, so there's just lots of training in here. You can scan down through these and find training that suits you. But it is included in our dues. We pay for this training, so might as well take advantage of that training and avail yourself of classes that are available. It may actually help your business to become a more productive real estate business. Um, now, some important announcements in terms of Realty World. There was a session on the changes to the tech pack that's coming up, a quick update that Lisa Gerdes did last Friday. And here's the recording on that. So if you go into your Relium dashboard, you can scroll down and you can just click on this, or you can watch it on YouTube, and you can see a replay of that recording talking about Lofty and the tech changes that are coming up. So you're going to be hearing more and more about that as time goes on here. And so I encourage you to take advantage of that. And as well, there's other things on here. Um, and we've got a training coming up on the 19th, Wednesday, November 19th, at that would be 1 o'clock Eastern time. Um, and Gabrielle Jeans is putting on some training about buyer consultations that win. And so those are some trainings that are coming up here in the near future for Realty World. Any questions on any topic, uh, in either something that I just talked about or any other questions that you have? Please unmute yourself and ask.
I have a question, Mr. James. On the rentals, is it only Fishers and Carmel, or is it gonna be on the rest of Indiana, or you don't know?
Well, I think Indianapolis already has a rental registry. It's new in Fishers and Carmel. So it is new in Fishers and Carmel. And both Fishers and Carmel have a new ordinance that caps rentals in neighborhoods to a certain percentage. And so that's an additional reason why it's important in Carmel and Westfield. If you own a rental property and you're in a neighborhood that has rental caps, for your property to be grandfathered in, it needs to be registered. So, so it's important. And again, it's free for Fishers, costs $5, which is not a lot for Carmel. Any other questions?
Hey Jim, there's been a lot of talk recently about the with the 50-year mortgage, the average home buyer age being 40 years old, average first-time home buyer. That
Yeah.
seems way high for where we are. Do we know what our area's numbers are related to those figures?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll try to do some research back with maybe Indian Association of Realtors. They may have stats on that. So I'll see if I can find that out. Let me write myself a note. Uh,
My guess is that's being heavily influenced by like California and other like high cost states.
yes, I would agree. And as far as the 50-year mortgage goes, I don't think that's a good deal at all.
No, it's not. But they keep that's one of the things they keep justifying it with is that first time home buyers can't buy till they're 40, so they're trying to get it more affordable.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. The 50-year mortgage is kind
It
of a
doesn't
mistake.
seem to make it even that much more affordable. So, it,
No.
it, but you pay way more interest. So, yeah, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No other questions? Okay. We're going to talk about 10 ways to revive a stale listing. And if you've never had a stale listing, you're going to have one sooner or later. And so these are some ideas for you to revive a stale listing without reducing the price. We all know that the number one way to sell a listing that's not selling is to reduce the price. But our sellers get weary of that being our only suggestion for selling their property. So here are some things that you can do to help a stale listing sell without reducing the price, not to say that you shouldn't reduce the price on a regular basis. But these are some ways to show your seller that you're doing more than just coming up with another price reduction. So I think that it's important to look at that. So first thing that you can do is refresh the photography on the property. Use lifestyle shots instead of just room shots. Do lifestyle shots. Maybe do some twilight photos. Those stand out as something different. So particularly if the property has some interesting outdoor lighting, then take that outdoor twilight photo of the property. That can be a good way to highlight that property with something new. Consider an aerial shot. Now, I'm not a fan of drone shots. However, with certain listings, I think they can be useful. And particularly if there's something in the backyard or in the area to kind of highlight, you can take a drone shot. The drone's, shooting at the beginning of the house, and then it rises up over the house and reveals this backyard or wooded area or park or lake or something, pond, things of that sort. So aerial shots can be a good way to refresh your photography. Uh, and try to create emotional connection with your photos. So if you've got a good photographer, they'll understand what photos might do an emotional connection. And don't hesitate to go back to your photographer and say, hey, my listing's not selling. I need to do something. Would you go back in and photograph it for me again? Now you're gonna have to pay for that, but it may be worth it to sell the house quicker and for a higher price. Especially remembering that you get commissioned on the price. So if you can keep the price up there, you actually make more money. It's better for you to do that. Um, and a question maybe to ask yourself is think of a listing that you have seen recently, not necessarily your listing, but one that you've seen. How would you make the photos more compelling? We've all seen those listings with photos that just aren't attractive. And think about how would I make those photos more compelling? You can also update the property description, and I suggest that you do this throughout the life of a listing. Tell a story, highlight how somebody would live in that listing, highlight the benefits of living there. So don't just show, make a description of there's ceiling fans there's a ceiling fan in the living area. What's the benefit of a ceiling fan? Why would you want a ceiling fan? Why would you want a screen porch? Why would you want extra counter space in the kitchen? So instead of just putting extra counter space in the kitchen in your description, put in there what's the benefit of having extra counter space? Why would you want extra counter space? Why would you want um, stainless steel appliances? Why? What's the benefit of that? So instead of having your description be just a list of features, make it a list of benefits or highlight those benefits. Um, so shift from features to how it makes the home buyer feel. So how would you feel living in this house with these things? So, and these could even be neighborhood features. There could be a feeling of safety. There could be a feeling of luxury. There could be a feeling of peacefulness, wide, quiet streets, things of that sort. And so think about that, keeping in mind that even small changes in wording can change the listing from overlooked to sold, just in your description. So make your description attractive. Get ChatGPT to help you. Ask ChatGPT to write a more enticing description for you that doesn't just highlight features. So you can give ChatGPT a list of features and say, I want a property description that highlights the benefits of this list of features for buyers. And it will do that for you. So take advantage of some of the tools that are out there to help you update your description. Then you can launch a social media ad campaign. We all know that social media is powerful and social media ads can be powerful. So maybe you launch a social media ad campaign. Depending on what kind of property you have, you could target renters, you could target relocation buyers, you could target move up buyers. Depending on what the nature of the property is who you could target with your ads. And just even a modest ad budget of $50 to $100 can be a make a big difference in how many people see that property. So it doesn't cost you a lot of money to be able to do a social media ad campaign. But you do want to be thoughtful in your targeting. Don't just do random boosting of your property. Maybe be a little bit more targeted and make that ad toward renters and tailor that. And there's some great training out there on how to do social media ad campaigns. So if you just search on YouTube, you'll find just tons of people telling you how to do ads on Facebook or on TikTok or any of the platforms that are out there. And so just so don't forget about that. Um, have just as a question to you all, have any of you tried a social media ad for a listing? Has anybody done that?
Yes.
How did it work for you?
Doesn't work that much for me.
Didn't work.
Yeah, I've done it too. It I mean I got a lot of looks and I watched the information build from it, but I didn't get any buyers. I didn't get anybody that actually reached out for more information.
Okay, so you didn't get any direct response from it.
No.
Okay. However, it's still I presume that you did let your seller know that you did this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you may have gotten some mileage with your seller, if nothing else. Even if you didn't, even if you didn't generate anything, the fact that you did it means something to your seller, which improves loyalty. Uh, it, for instance, a lot of times neighbors will ask why the house isn't selling. And if the seller can say, well, I don't know why it's not selling. Maybe it's the high price is too high, but my agent is certainly trying. They just ran a bunch of social media ads and et cetera. So even if the ad doesn't directly generate a buyer, it can generate future business for you personally just by giving the seller something to talk about how great their agent was that they did this. So um, you could host a themed open house event. Okay, so for instance, make it an event rather than just a run-of-the-mill open house. Make it an event, something different. So maybe coffee and pastries in the morning. Make it a morning event instead of an afternoon. All the open houses are always in the afternoon. Try a coffee and pastries morning event. That might be something to try that would make your listing and your open house stand out. Um, Maybe you do a sunset tour, so you have finger food or desserts, and then you have a sunset tour of the home. That might be particularly attractive for a home that has really impressive outdoor lighting or swimming pool. You have a light on in the pool. Maybe you're on a reservoir, so you can look out over the reservoir, give people a different vantage point of living in a lake home or even a pond home. So do a sunset tour instead of the typical 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon type thing. It would make it more of an event. Maybe make it a neighborhood preview. So uh, set up your event and then invite all the neighbors to come and preview your home. Now that works better for a new listing, but it could also work for an existing listing, particularly one that maybe you've done some updates to in order to try to sell it. Keep in mind that experiences tend to get buyers engaged. So if you can give them a little bit different experience, they might hang out longer in the open house. Get the home professionally or virtually staged. We've always all heard this, but staging can change perception of a home, so it might be worth it. It's something that you can do instead of a price reduction. Does it cost money? Yes. So the seller's going to have to pay some money to do it, but it may be cheaper than the price reduction. So staging could be something. Buyers understand space differently when it's staged. And we know that staged homes photograph better and lead to more online engagement. So if you're having trouble selling a home, suggest to the seller that they have it staged, that they spend money to have it staged, and then tell them I'll spend the money on photography to rephotograph the home with the staging that's been done. And so make a deal with them and say, hey, I'll spend some if you'll spend some. Try to get this property sold. One thing for you to think about is think about, why are model homes staged? Why do builders go through all the trouble of having their models staged? That costs money, takes time and effort to do. Why? Why do they do that?
Because when you walk into a house that is staged, a new house, you fall in love not with the house, but with all the furniture that is there.
They want you to have an experience of that house, and by staging it, it puts them in the mindset of actually living there.
It also distracts from their poor craftsmanship.
Yes. Yes, it does, Sean. But the same thing goes for staging your listing. It can detract from some of the negative issues that might be present. So maybe the floor doesn't look that great, but if you have it nicely staged, that can hide some of those things. So
It's happened to me. I've seen a
that's a
house.
great point, Sean.
It's happened to me. I've seen a house that is staged, and I'm in love with the house. I'm like, oh my god, this is such a nice house. And then I go see it like the day before closing. It's not staged. Nothing is there. And I don't like the floor plan. I don't like the carpet. I don't like the floor. I don't like the kitchen. I don't like anything. It's like, oh my god, it's not the same house.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the risk. But your job is to work for who? Your seller. The agent's job, the buyer's agent job, is to work for the buyer and maybe point those things out to the buyer. Offer buyer incentives. We've talked about this in the past. Seller paid rate buy downs. Work with your lender to find out what might be a meaningful rate buy down that you could offer. Again, that's going to cost money, but you would do that in lieu of a price reduction. Maybe that would help, or closing cost credits. Uh, you know, uh, Maybe you realize it needs some redecorating, so you offer a carpet allowance or credits at closing to the buyer. Um, Offer a home warranty. That can help reduce the risk of buying a property. Hey, we're going to provide a home warranty with this property. And that can be particularly useful for a property that maybe doesn't have the newest um, appliances and mechanicals. So by offering a home warranty, it can take some of the worry out of buying that property that has an older furnace or older AC. Um, make buyers feel like they're getting a deal. So some of these incentives is like, hey, you're getting a deal. So it's hard sometimes to make them feel like they're getting a deal with just a price reduction, particularly if it's been on the market for a while. But these are some other things that you don't maybe normally get when you buy a home. So hey, this isn't a deal. This is an incentive. You can improve curb appeal. Um, First impressions matters. A lot of times what I tell sellers to do, look, get in your car, pull out of the garage, shut the garage door, drive down the street, pull up to the front of your house, park by the curb, because that's where the realtor parks, right? Park by the curb, get out of your car, look at your house. What do you see? Walk up the driveway to the front door. What do you see on the way? What are the first impressions of your property? Because people seldom go in the front door of their own home. They usually go in the garage, right? They open the garage door with the opener, drive in the garage, shut the garage door, go inside. They don't see it from the visitor point of view. So make them see it from the visitor point of view. Suggest that they go out and do that. And what is their impression? Fresh mulch, that's cheap. That's something that can make a world of difference in landscaping, just coming in and putting fresh mulch down. Flowers, planting some flowers or putting flowers in a planter on the front porch, anything to kind of liven things up can be good, type of thing. Pressure wash. Maybe the sidewalk could use pressure washing, or the concrete driveway would show better if it were power washed. Same thing with back patios that are hardscape. Maybe power washing would help, or pressure washing. Um, Change the color of the front door. Get a stager or someone with good color sense and say, hey, what's a different color we could paint this front door that would enhance this property? Or try uploading a current photo to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, what would be an enticing color for the front door of this home? And see what they say. It doesn't cost much for a little can of paint to paint the front door, and it doesn't take long to do. Homeowner can do it themselves typically, but if they want to hire it done, again, it's not going to cost a lot because it's just a small job. And that could make a world of difference in selling a property. In fact, I wish I would have thought of this in the property that I was having trouble selling there in Admirals Bay, because I think that maybe a door color made a difference in how that house looked, both in the photos and when you walked up to the front door. I wish I would have suggested that. That might have helped us. I do a pre-inspection and share the results. So transparency, I got to spell here, builds trust. Okay, so the more transparent you are with your home, the more trust that you build with the buyer. It reduces fears of surprises. And if repairs are needed, take care of them and show the receipts. And sharing this. So don't just get a pre-inspection and not share it. Get a pre-inspection and then share it with the potential buyers, and share what you did if you corrected any of the problems. Buyers are going to feel more confident knowing that the home is move-in ready. And if you've got a solid inspection that supports that, that's something that you can do. And again, it costs less to have a home inspection, pre-inspection, than it does to um, lower the price. Change the BLC presentation. So change the lead photo. So use a different photo as the main photo. Uh, Reorder the images, swap the images around. Maybe you've got the next image after the front of the house is the entryway or something. Put the kitchen in next, or whatever might be the key uh, images. A good exercise in this reordering the images is go in and pick the 10 best images, that 10 best showcase the property. Put those first. Put those 10 best images first, which can can help a buyer. They may not go beyond. So if you got 10 images that aren't so good and your 10 images are behind those, they may not even go 10 images before they click off that property and look at something else. So by putting your 10 best images first might get them to look at your property, come out and see it in person. Add video or a 3D tour. You could pay Matterport for a Matterport tour. You could add video um, to the BLC presentation. Add a floor plan. There are apps out there and tools out there that you can use to generate a floor plan of any property. So you could walk through the house, do a floor plan using one of these apps for your property, and then add that to the BLC presentation. Floor plans can make a big difference. Relaunch the listing with hype. Okay, so you could temporarily withdraw and then relist it strategically. Uh, Back on the market, buyer's second chance. So you kind of put that hype in there. Um, by the way, if your listing expires and you relist it after it expires, it resets the days on market in the BLC. And so it no longer looks to be stale for buyers. So keep in mind if you let it expire and relist it. And again, this needs to be a strategy that you discuss with the seller. And you say, if we let our listing, let's say it's coming up for expiration, and you say, if we let it expire and we really relist it after it expires, it will reset days on market and it'll look like a fresher listing. I'll redo the photos and things of that sort to make it look new. And then go ahead and get that relisting contract signed, but let it expire and then relist it, and those days on market will reset. And of course, you always want to pair this with new photos so it looks like a new listing. Revise the description, totally new description, and a new social media push on the property. So you want to renew all your social media marketing. So here are 10 ways that we've discussed. Refresh your photography, update the property description, uh, do a social media ad campaign, host a themed open house, professionally stage the property, offer buyer incentives, improve the curb appeal of the property, conduct a pre-listing inspection, uh, change the BLC presentation, uh, and relaunch with hype. So those are 10 things that you can do to revive a stale listing that doesn't include a price reduction. So there you have it. Any questions on that or thoughts that you may have?